Howdy, 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 my name's Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we started with the palm tree, which was kind of a pun that I didn't see coming, and it took me till I was done with to catch it. And we stopped at the telepathy virus. So this one we're going to start with the Sleepwalker's tunnel, and we're going to go up through the editor beetles. So let's get right on in there. Okay. Special containment procedures. Task Force Tau 6 are assigned to monitor 406 and process 1 instances. They are to be based in a converted small industrial unit at a nearby industrial park behind a Foundation front company, Simon's Carpet Paradise. I'm going to see if that's a thing, because that sounds... let's see. Well, there are certainly things that are carpeting with paradises. Let's see. The emergent point and western entrance of 406 are to be monitored via closed-circuit television cameras. Concealed lighting and infrared sensors will be fitted to detect and illuminate emerging 406-1 instances. And emergency clothing, non-perishable food, and basic first aid supplies are to be concealed behind false brickwork on the opposite wall. Two-way audio communication is to be enabled via concealed microphones and speakers behind Tau 6, or between Tau 6 and the emergency point to guide and instruct 406-1 instances and to wake them if necessary. The gate at the open western entrance is to be kept locked. Trespassers are to be monitored and are to be detained and administered amnestics if they witness a 406-1 instance. Instances are to be retrieved by members of Tau 6 and taken to Sector 25, debriefed, administered amnestics, and then escorted to their point of origin. Fabricated cover stories and/or amnestics are to be used to explain the absence of 1 instances. All of the instances are to be logged and remotely monitored for a period of 5 years, previously 20, and detained if any anomalous properties become apparent. A proposal for covert monitoring of residents of the origin area to prevent or reduce disappearance event frequencies is currently under review. SCP-406 is a 228-meter long disused railway tunnel in Crigglestone, England. The eastern entrance has been infilled and is inaccessible. The western entrance is blocked by a metal fence with a locked gate. 406-1 are persons who emerge via unknown means through the inner northern wall of 406 at a point 15.3 meters from the closed end of the tunnel. They are invariably initially asleep and walking upright, but most instances wake up naturally shortly after their appearance, usually due to the sudden shock of the cold air within the tunnel. Initial inspection and testing of the emergence point was unable to identify any anomalous effects. Further testing of the emergence point is prohibited until further notice. See Document 406A. 406's first known anomalous event on record was in December 1981 when the naked body of Mr. Blankety Blank, 24, was found within the tunnel having died of head injuries and exposure after apparently tripping and falling within the tunnel. A tattoo was identified and later matched against a missing persons report in Illinois, USA. A subsequent instance of 406-1 was recovered alive in February 1982, Miss Blank Blank, 8, and the anomalous nature of the tunnel became apparent. The Foundation became aware of 406 at this point and established initial containment procedures. All instances of 1 to date have originated in the rough geographical area of Douglas County, Illinois, and a small portion of the southern end of Champaign County, Illinois, and appeared within 406 shortly after falling asleep. Instances of 1 did not report abnormal histories of sleepwalking. To date, no attempt to witness or record the disappearance of a 1 instance from their origin point has been successful. Current conjecture suggests that a disappearance will not occur unless unobserved. No 406-1 has yet to report any memories of their time between falling asleep and waking within 406, and no attempt to recover memories has yet been successful. To date, blank instances of 1 have been recovered. The instances are not known to be anomalous. No individual instances appear more than once. And now for that document. On August the 14th, 1989, at about 4:32 in the afternoon, 5:32 in the afternoon, an emergence event occurred during exploratory drilling of materials of the wall at the emergence point. Despite immediate medical intervention, Mrs. Blank Blank 76 died at the scene. She was not known to have had any living relatives and staff at the nursing home where she resided were administered amnestics on a cover story, heart failure. Technician Blank, manning the drill at the time, also requested amnestics. This was denied, a leave of absence was granted. Okay, so that sounds like they were in the process of drilling the wall. They were in the process of trying to explore it, and it sounds like the woman probably appeared into the drill. And the guy was like, I don't want to have remembered that, and they said no. Rude. So next up is the Song of Genesis. which sounds interesting. It's neutralized, though. I think this is the first neutralized SCP I've gotten, because that other neutralized one doesn't count because that was just a neutralized instance of it, not the thing itself. So, at time of acquisition, SCP-407 was recorded within a compact cassette tape. Currently, it is backed up as a digital audio file and data expunged. It should not be allowed to play under any circumstances outside of testing conditions and only with the approval of O5 blank. Testing of 407 is to be done in a completely soundproof environments. All tools and subjects must be sterilized to remove the presence of pollen, fungal spores, plant seeds, and as much bacterial life to the greatest degree as possible to delay the negative effects of 407. SCP-407 is a song in an unidentified language, seemingly sung a cappella. The voices are thought to be human. The tape containing 407 was found with one track of approximately 30 minutes duration, though the abrupt ending suggests there may be more. The song has been described by all listeners as something along the lines of soothing, glorious, and beautiful. Beautiful. While 407 is played, rapid cell generation seems to occur within an auditory radius. This effect seems to occur at the cellular level and does not require the subject to be able to hear the music. The changes seem to only affect multicellular organisms at first, but quickly begins to affect mitosis in single-celled organisms. During the first minute of exposure, all multicellular life forms seem to become healthier. Subjects suffering from malnutrition, scarring, physical injury, or chronic diseases or other medical conditions seem to become healthy with only a minute of exposure to 407. This has been shown to cure Alzheimer's disease, Crohn's disease, brain and spinal cord injuries, and normally fatal infections or wounds, amongst other living things. Interestingly, cancer does not seem to be affected, though the subject's physical condition was still vastly improved. During the second or third minute of exposure, they start experiencing unnecessary or unrestrained cell growth, manifesting in quickly advancing dermal growths. These growths seem to be mostly benign tumors and calcium and fat deposits, which though sometimes painful disfiguring, are not life-threatening. During the fourth minute of exposure, increased bacterial and fungal growth occurs, creating conditions that grow increasingly dangerous for all exposed life, even in their new healthier states. Respiratory and digestive problems are quick to arrive in most cases and become steadily worse as time progresses. Past 5 minutes, the effects of 407 seem to differ each trial. In all cases, trace elements of plants or fungus, as well as any animal life present, begin to grow and replicate uncontrollably at varying rates, often shaping into new organisms. Full results have varied depending on the test and on subjects present when 407 is played. Addendum 1. It was found in the home of Professor Somebody of Something, who had recently returned to research in the Amazon regions of northern Brazil. Agents were first alerted to a possible SCP when data expunged. Addendum 2. The mold that eventually resulted from 407's second test appears to be some form of cordyceps fungi. Noted to be similar to mold encountered by 507, due to fear of fulfilling a fate similar to that observed by 507, testing using 407 has been limited to using only the first 20 minutes of the recording. Below is a sample test run of 407. For full research and experimentation notes, see experiment log 407. So, test 2. Played for 28 minutes and 32 seconds within chamber, one disposable dude unsterilized. Reports feeling soothed by the music and feeling stronger and more invigorated. Liver spots and scars seen are shown to disappear. At 2 minutes, they appear to have grown an inch tall. Increase in musculature is noticeable. Intestinal pain. Vomiting. From vomit, plants are seen growing and slowly rooting into the tile floor. Starts developing rashes. Heavy dermal disfigurement, panting heavily, begging for help, great pain reported, falls to the ground and ceases to move. Body is quickly covered in what's thought to be fungal infections. Plant growth is observed growing from their mouth, then eye sockets. They're, by this time, unrecognizable, covered in molds and plant shoots. Body bursts as a banana tree emerges from his intestines and proceeds to grow to maturity within seconds. Plant and fungal growth has begun to spread throughout the testing chamber. What appears to be moss and seeds cover the floor. Several shoots, stalks, bushes, and even trees have appeared. Banana trees no longer recognizable. The tree's grown thick and is covered with foliage and fungal growth. The air is heavy with pollen and spores. Vision into testing chamber difficult. Movement is heard within the chamber. Several different small insect-like creatures are observed. Creatures are seemingly made of plant matter. For the last 6 minutes, creatures made of plant matter have been observed to rapidly generate, grow to maturity, kill and eat other creatures, and then be eaten themselves. Creatures increasingly progressing in size as time increases. Medium-sized mammalian creatures are observed. They seem humanoid and bear resemblance to initial subject. Large fungal stalk is observed to grow from one of the mammalian creatures' stalk and burst, dispensing white spores. At 22 minutes, plant growth is still lush, but everything begins to become coated in a layer of mold. The plant creatures seem to die slowly for unknown reason before being covered by the mold. 23 minutes. Mammalian creatures are the last to succumb. They heavily decay and become covered in the same mold. Bodies are shown to contract and expand as if breathing. Stalks quickly rising from the bodies, burst with spores, and then just as quickly rot. At 28.5 minutes, the tape ends. No change in the chamber since the appearance of the mold. The chamber undergoes rigorous antibiological cleansing. Samples of the mold were taken. See Addenda 1 through 2 and test. It skipped those, but it says 407 has been deleted from the system by what is now known to the Foundation as the interest group Serpent's Hand. All known backup copies of 407 have also been deleted. Refer to Incident Report X23. On blank blank blank, Site 19 breached by operatives from an organization known to the Foundation only as the Serpent's Hand. Site 19 breach. The breach of Site 19 seems to have been the second of 2 break-ins into SCP properties by blank, known to the Foundation as LS. This individual was responsible for a previous security breach, having coordinated the theft of SCP-268. Though data expunged, it is evident from the video surveillance that 268 was involved in this infiltration. The intruder known as LS seems to have simply walked into Site-19. The intrusion seems only to have been for the purpose of using SCP-914. Knowledge of the intruder's use of 914 can only be assumed due to the intruder's interruption of Dr. Blank during routine testing. It seems to have been data expunged, resulting in the intrusion's only personnel casualty. SCP-407 seems to have been deleted from the Foundation system during this time, so it can be assumed that the individuals are responsible. Whether this means the file has been completely destroyed or possibly in the hands of this rogue group is unknown. A short printed note was found in 914's chamber. This note is the only insight the Foundation currently has of the group responsible for this incident. Dear Sirs of the Foundation, behind guns and protocol you hide, desperately chaining the ineffable, yourselves stuck within your own self-wrought, pitiful cages of fear and ignorance. You think yourselves the shepherd guarding the flock of the unwise over the night, but you are so shaken by doubt and fear that in your own bewildered arrogance, you would vainly seek to chain the sun itself unto the heavens and to hold back the daily night. The delivering angels themselves you contain with 3 digits and 4 walls. Do you not see the blindness with which you walk and swing your blade? On the final day, would you have us contain the Black Suitor himself with measures and science, and condemn ourselves to the rotten stagnancy as you hold back his pure cleansing fires? I do not ask you to act, but act with enlightenment in the heart. Neither should one be seduced by the dark nor blinded by the light, but walk firmly in the twilight, and gaze unto all realms. Walk the world of fire with bare feet, and you will find yourself without the scars you never knew you had. I leave you with one final truth. The garden is the serpent's place. The divinities of fear and order who come to walk in the cool evening air are only visitors. Do not fail to see the evil hiding in the light, nor the aromatic beauty of the palest flower of darkness. Signed sincerely, LS. P.S. You'll thank me for deleting what you call 407. Okay, so the Serpent's Head don't sound like they're bad people, but I could be wrong. And what was SCP-268 again? Oh, the hat that makes people not recognizable. Okie dokie then. Now, the illusory butterflies. Are these the butterflies that lady made of, like, a couple hundred SCPs back? No wait. I think these are the butterflies she liked, but was so, like, with the Foundation for so long that by the time she finally got to be near the butterfly, she didn't care anymore and made her own worst butterfly. So, the screen mesh aviary must be properly maintained by level 2 personnel with backgrounds in biology or lepidoptery. The hell is that? An order of incest that includes butterflies and moths. Okay, so I guess the study of those. Proper humidity must be maintained and recorded once per day and backed up to Site 17. 200 feeders are filled with an aqueous sugar solution are to be maintained and refilled once per week. So, 408 is a large mass of butterflies, taking the appearance of zebra butterflies when not camouflaged. 408 acts as a single entity at all times, speculated to be a form of hive mind communication among the mass. When inactive, 408 will take on the color, pattern, and even texture of its immediate surroundings, making them functionally invisible. When threatened, 408 has been observed to take on the form and appearance of a number of threatening creatures as a defense method, including a pride of lions, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and most notably, SCP-682. That incident log better be in here. Or, oh, I think it's an incident log in the SCP-682. I'll probably check that out just to double check. SCP-408 possesses the ability to communicate and reason, utilizing its ability to manipulate its color into words and sentences and to reply to researchers. IQ tests administered to 408 have evaluated its IQ to be 109, or slightly above average. However, when a part of the swarm is isolated, lower scores have been reported, resulting in a theory that 408 shares its cognitive capacity amongst the entirety of the swarm. As a blankety-blank-blank, 408 prefers to be identified by its SCP number. 408 was discovered in Blank, Brazil, after reports that locals and logging teams found their maps to be frequently inaccurate regarding the size of the rainforest. After reports of animal sightings not local to either the Brazil rainforest or some not found on Earth at all, Foundation agents began an investigation resulting in the discovery of 408. After learning it was intelligent, Dr. Blank, who accompanied the agents in the field, communicated with 408 and convinced it to accompany him to Site-17 where their current habitat exists. Addendum A. Regarding the knowledge of 682, an investigation is underway regarding this leak of information. Incident A. Due to a failure by appropriate personnel to properly refill 408's feeders, the swarm took it upon itself to find sustenance by its own means. Taking the appearance of several Level 1 personnel, 408 convinced a passerby to open the door to the aviary, upon which they made an escape into the Site-17 facility. For the whole of the day, Site-17 personnel reported an alarming series of irregular events ranging from color-changing walls to several dozen versions of 529 walking down a hallway. Site-17 was placed on lockdown, and Delta level alert appeared when it appeared that 90% of the containment units had been breached. Dr. Kondraki, head of research for 408, had been out on an assignment that day, and it wasn't until his return that the illusion had been revealed, and in short order 408 was returned to its aviary. Little damage was done except to the faculty break room, which was left without proper sweeteners for the next week. It may just be sugar water, but without it, 408 is prone to mischief, as we clearly saw yesterday. It's fortunate that it doesn't act maliciously, but think about others next time you slack off custodial duties. Think about yourself as well, as I will not tolerate having to use sweet and low in my morning coffee for very long. Addendum B. Recent field testing has shown that 408 can act as an effective form of active invisibility when ordered to. 408 was able to conceal 5 Level 2 personnel and keep them undetected throughout the facility. Tests show the concealment to operate at 99.997% efficiency and can be maintained for up to 5 hours without need for rest or recuperation. The option of lending 408 to task forces for covert operations is pending. Okay. Addendum C. During Incident 239B Clef Kondraki, which 408 was heavily involved in, a number of corpses left by Dr. Clef vanished in the aftermath of the event. Surveillance shows that at certain times, the entire swarm of 408 would descend on the body, only to leave no trace of the corpse behind. Subsequent testing shows a proportional increase in IQ, although lack of cooperation when questioned has shed no light on its development. I'm going to just open that too, and we're going to read that as well. So, interview with the SCP? Okay. Dr. Sagai is seated within the aviary, while 408 hovers around a large feeding trough filled with sugar water. I'll start off with asking how you're recovering. You seem to have lost quite a bit of your mass after the 531D termination. Responds by uniformly creating the words one after the other. Kondraki, where? I'm his substitute for the interview as he happens to be busy adjusting to his new promotion. Lots of paperwork, I'm told. A moment goes by. Fine, recover. Good. Food, good. How exactly do you replenish your number? Another pause. Cated. Don't know word. Was Dr. Kondraki the one who taught you to speak? Yes, teach a lot. He taught you, but how do you communicate with him? Don't know word. Lost in space. You lost the part that knew? Yes, I forget until return. Next question then. What happened with SCP-91 ARC and you during the incident a few months ago? Pretty smell. Familiar. Long time. You mean you smelled it before? Yes, before. Long before. People. Are you saying that you predate human existence? No response. Never mind, doesn't matter. Last question. Close the interview questionnaire, sets it on the ground. What is the nature of your relationship with Dr. Kondraki? He right. That's not what I meant. Logs show that you're with him out of containment almost all the time now. Dr. Kondraki's been breaching protocol by letting you out of containment. I don't know what... You're going to admit this to me so I can bring it up before oversight. Do you know what I was doing before that schmuck snatched me up as an assistant? I was head of research for the entire subhuman safe SCP sector. Now I'm interviewing a damn insect! I will have him thrown out. Oversight won't let him get away with this. 408 proceeds to approximate a laugh as described in the log as a caricatured face displayed by 408. Are you laughing at me? I'm about to have your little friend terminated and you're having a chuckle? 408 shifts to display a new image was presumed to be a live feed of Dr. Kondraki's face. Or Dr. Kondraki in his new office. No! That's not possible! I read the damn logs, you can't do that! You can't do that! Dr. Sagai attempts to damage 408. Guards later found him huddled in a fetal position displaying symptoms similar to post-traumatic stress syndrome. Okay, so, first it looks like we are going to have to check out the thing with the lizard dude. If it's in here. It is not in here. Okay. Now what happened with... Oh, wow, this is long. Internal affairs incident between doctors Alto Clef and Blank Kondraki. Report is closed. Any further edits must be approved by an O5 level authority, except basic grammatical and spelling corrections. Any further information about this incident should be placed in a supplemental report. Compiled by Dr. Clef, Dr. Kondraki, Kane Pathos Crow, Dr. Gears, Far2, Bijan, Dr. Bright, and Data Corrupt. Okay, so I'm going to have to read this some other time because of how long it is, so I'm going to add it to the folder of things I intend on reading about the SCP things later. Which I'll probably do on a weekend to, like, not lose track of what it is I do for, like, 5 things an episode. I don't want to mess that up yet. But for now, Contagious Crystal. Magic Missile. It's Keter, so I gotta drink water and sniffle a little bit. Let me lean back away from the microphone so I can clear my sinuses. Ugh. Where is the water bottle? Okay. No physical contact may be made with SCP-409 for any reason. Anything making physical contact with SCP-409 must be contained and quarantined immediately, along with any materials used in the transport of the subject. 409 must be kept in a granite case at all times. Any transportation of SCP-409 must be done in a sealed granite container. Residue from 409's effects are to be sealed in granite containers along with any tools used to transport residue into the containers. SCP-409 resembles a large quartz crystal approximately 5 feet tall and 2 feet wide. Any objects coming into contact with it will begin to crystallize after 3 hours. This effect will occur in any material other than granite. The crystallization will spread out by approximately 1 inch per minute and will convert the entire object or organism inside and out. Subjects report this effect to be extremely painful and similar to frostbite. After complete crystallization, this object will begin to make snapping and creaking noises for approximately 20 minutes, before bursting into thousands of fragments with great force. Anything touched by or touching a fragment will immediately begin to crystallize. Nothing at this time is able to reverse the effect in organic matter, including amputation of affected areas. Inorganic matter will only crystallize for a few centimeters around the point of contact. SCP-409 was recovered and expunged under a pile of crystal shards several feet deep. Losses of personnel during recovery were high. Addendum 1. The suggestion of Dr. 500-021-D. Subject 409-D5 was exposed to the effects of 409 and was left to become severely crystallized. After that, he was treated with SCP-500 and a complete recovery was achieved in 9 days. Subject reported that he continued to feel pain in body parts that were crystallized even after the estimated recovery time. Pain faded 13 days after subject was treated. It is unknown if the pain effect was psychological or real during the intervening 4 days. Addendum 2. Extensive testing has yielded no information as to why the crystallization occurs. 409 and the shards created by it are indistinguishable from any other quartz crystal. The effect appears to be similar to a seed crystal, where a pre-existing crystal formation is added to a solution, causing the crystal to grow. 409, however, appears to do this with all solid matter and does not need to remain in contact. How this is done, why SCP-409 is unique among all their quartz crystals, and why granite is the only material immune are still unknown. And that brings us to the editor beetles. which are not Keter or Euclid. They are safe because they're beetles. And this is one of 14 individuals comprising it. So, 410 is currently held at Site 23, Entomology Lab 14 Zeta, and maintained in a 1x1x1 meter transparent acrylic glass container. The top of the container is perforated with 33 1mm holes to allow for ventilation and creates a small hinged lockable hatch, or features the hatch, in the center measuring 5x5 centimeters. The hatch utilizes a simple cylinder lock which is to be rekeyed every 3 months. The hatch is to remain locked except for unless 410 is actively being fed or constituent members of 410 are being removed for return for research applications. Every 24 hours, a visual inspection and inventory of 410 and its constituent members is to be performed and logged according to Level 4 archival standards by designated observational staff. Any increase or decrease in the number of constituent members of 410 should be reported to the senior researcher on duty immediately. Every 12 hours, a document containing no fewer than 5,000 words in any language but possessing a minimum syntactical, orthographical, and/or grammatical error ratio of 1%, 50 errors for 5,000 words, is to be placed inside the container. A document should be removed after 1 hour, reviewed by a staff linguist with a specialty in the language the document was composed in, and subsequently filed in 410's feeding archive. Food documents should be composed specifically for the purpose of sustaining the 410 colony. No existing archival materials or official SCP records should be given to the entire 410 colony under any circumstances. A single individual from the 14-member colony that comprises 410 may be removed for research and functional application for a single 2-hour activity period daily with the approval from the senior researcher on duty. Let me open that because luck gets its tail. No more than 4 members of the colony are to be removed at any given time. Transport of a single 410 colony member should be facilitated by no fewer than 2 Class 2 entomology staff using only an approved 410 transport module to do so. The current 410 transport modules are 20 by 20 by 20 centimeters transparent acrylic glass containers, perforated with 12 1mm ventilation holes, and each featuring a hinged lid equipped with a simple latch. So, SCP-410 is a colony of 14 individual beetles designated Scarabaeus scriptor by staff Calopterus Dr. Langstrom. Each measuring approximately 5 centimeters and possessing a carapace color variation from light blue to deep emerald green. A visual examination reveals nothing distinctive from other members of the genus Scarabaeus, with records to their appearance, number of legs, wings, eyes, etc. Dissection of a single member of the colony by trained Calopterus showed no discernible anomalies in internal morphology, with the exception of a small additional organ designated the scriptorgan by Dr. Langstrom, capable of producing a variety of liquids both caustic and inert. It's worth noting that following the death and dissection of this member of the colony, a replacement beetle larva was seen 14 days later and grew to full maturity within 1 month. Members of 410 appear to subsist entirely on inscribed language, more specifically on syntactical, orthographical, and grammatical errors found in any form of writing physically inscribed on any surface by any currently available method. 410 has no effect on electronic displays or digitized data. Consumed writing disappears from the surface of whatever material it has been inscribed upon. Between 18 and 22 minutes following a feeding, 410 will excrete corrected writing, inscribing it by unknown means back onto the surface from where the errors were consumed. To date, all corrections made by 410 have been evaluated as 100% accurate by both staff and independent orthographers and linguists. Individually, members of 410 seem to be able to consume and correct an approximate maximum of 25,000 characters worth of errors daily and appear healthy and active within as few as 5. Lack of sustenance for a period of in excess of 1 day results in increasing lethargy until 410 becomes completely inert, entering an apparent state of hibernation. 410 can be roused from this state with a minimum of 50 errors placed within its proximity. In groups of 3 or more, 410 will not only correct grammatical and orthographic errors, but will begin to alter the style of the original text slightly, often using a somewhat expanded vocabulary and incorporating more complex narrative methods. When the entire colony is applied to a single document, all linguistic errors are corrected and the document is perfected in clarity, style, and word choice, and rhetorical technique to such an extent that the original author's voice is nearly non-existent. Although the central thesis of a document always remains, the argument supporting it may be vastly more complex or compelling in the case of research writing. In the case of basic lists of short statements or simple observational reports. Enhanced correction may be in the form of layout alteration to provide greater clarity. See archival files 410 A44.2 through A59888.6 for examples of editing. If those are there, we're not going to do that. There appear to be a few limitations on the languages or materials that 410 can interpret and harvest sustenance from. Hieroglyphs from the 31st century BCE, Narmer Palette, were successfully corrected by 410 just as easily as errors created in the modern constructed language Esperanto. Excreted corrections match the original colors, method, and medium of the errors with near perfect accuracy. Graphites, inks, engravings, acid etchings, and high-energy laser inscriptions have all been successfully replicated in appearance by 410's corrections. The only anomaly found within excreted corrections appears to be an inability to replicate aged materials. Errors inscribed in ink on a 14th century CE illuminated manuscript were ingested by 410, and while corrections were excreted in a matching color, they possess the vibrant intensity of new ink. Staff experts were easily able to spot the corrections in the manuscript visually, and spectrographic analysis confirmed that the excreted inks were modern, while the surrounding text dated from the time of the original manuscript. 410 has successfully harvested error sustenance from and excreted corrections onto the following materials: paper, cardboard, wood, human skin, granite, limestone, marble, steel, aluminum, titanium, beta carbon nitride. There's an experiment there, and there it is. Proposed testing of 410 with anomalous text, including text containing 423, is currently pending review. Experiment 410.7.9. One heavily tattooed disposable dude exposed to one constituent member of 410. Class D staff member, hereafter referred to as disposable subject, possessed a prison-created tattoo with the words "Forever You Yours Baby" on her left forearm. Oh, it's a lady. Disposable dudette. Subject disposable dudette, or I guess subject dudette, secured in a motion-restricting harness and fitted with a pulse rate monitor. One constituent member of 410 removed from transport unit and placed on her left arm. Begins circling the perimeter of the tattoo. Begins consuming the tattoo's air pulse, beginning with the first extraneous E in forever. I didn't even see that. Subject indicates an 8 on the NRS 11 pain scale. Pulse rate reaches 106. It finishes consuming the first extraneous E. It no longer appears on the subject, revealing a patch of bare skin, a bare patch of slightly reddened skin. Subject D reports pain has ceased. Describes the pain like putting my goddamn arm in a blender. Pulse rate 94. Finishes consuming the errors in the tattoo, but appears to fall asleep. Tattoo now reads, "Forever your bab." Subject experienced pulse rate fluctuation between 102 and 144. Reports pain ranging from 6 to 10 on the NRS 11. Request painkillers. Denied. It rouses, begins excretion correction process. Pulse rate 113 reports NRS 11 rating of 3 to 4, describes it as roughly analogous to being tattooed. Completes excretion and correction process, now reads "Forever Yours Baby," with corrected lettering's color significantly more vibrant than unedited counterparts. What did they do to make it be in the right spot, though? Because wouldn't there have been a gap where it ripped the letters out? Like, if it removed that extra E, then there would have just been a gap in the "forever." And it would have had to get rid of the apostrophe, which would have been fine, I suppose. But then for baby, there would also be a gap between the B and the Y? What did it do? So, how long is this? Memories. This doesn't sound like it's going to have anything to do with the Beatles. Let's see if it has anything to do with the Beatles. Nope, it's just a tale. Huh. Well, if anybody wants me to come back to this one, let me know, but it doesn't really seem to be any kind of important to what I just read whatsoever. So, that about does it for this episode. This has been Anachi Sasuke. This was episode 97 of Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. In the next one, we're going to start with, the Ancient Precog, and we're going to go through the Harvested Man. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later!